In this video, I'm going to assess posterior knee drives in Olympic lifting. In this video, we can see Mulcahy performing a snatch. We can see there's also an excessive knee drive as the athlete moves up through the movement from the ground to the first pull. I believe this is relative to his leg length. One factor that's hugely important in this movement is that the torso and the hips rise at the same rate. We can also see this with this athlete who's much shorter. The hips and the shoulders rise at the same rate. This is a clip of myself performing a snatch and a clean and jerk. In this movement, you can identify that I have quite a minimal posterior knee drive when I'm performing the movement. This is relative to my torso and my leg length. My leg length is much shorter in proportion to my torso, therefore my knees travel back a little bit less. So now we're going to look at a technical analysis of a Chinese lifter Liu in his start position. In his start position, you can see that his knees are always in front of the bar, hips are higher than his knees at the start position, feet are shoulder width apart and his weight is distributed to his forefoot, and his back is flat and his scapula is retracted. Now, important when he goes from this position to the first pull, one common factor that we can see has not changed is that his hips and shoulders have risen at the same rate. As a result, there is a posterior knee drive. Now, Liu is quite a small athlete, a 77 kg athlete, so there's very little posterior knee drive. As a result, I can conclude that the torso angle is the most important factor in relation to the posterior knee drive. The athlete must try and maintain a torso angle similar to the start position once the bar has got over their knees, and this will affect the posterior knee drive. And we can see this very apparently with Mulcahy. From his start position as he pulls, his knees do shoot back, but this is because of the length of his legs. We can see once he's gone from his start position to the bar just above his knees that he has tried to maintain quite a similar angle in his torso. Now, Mulcahy, because of his leg is quite long, that he does shoot his hips a little bit, which means the bar is a little bit further out in front of him. Because Mulcahy is such a strong athlete, he's able to maintain the bar in this position. We can see the Korean lifter, as she goes from her start position to her position just initiating her first pull, you can see that the angle is very similar to that start position. Now I'm going to look at some common errors that may occur with your athlete when performing a snatch or a clean and jerk. One thing that may happen is the athlete may shoot their hips and torso unevenly, so they might shoot their hips up. Now, very few athletes can recover from this because they're not strong enough to hold the bar out in front of them. So it's important that their hips and torsos rise at the same rate, and therefore the angle from the start position is the same. So now I'm just going to look at some common errors. So the hips rising too fast and not evenly with the torso. Therefore, it's important that we cue our athlete to have their hips and shoulders move at the same rate. You'll demo this technique. You can see in the coaching model that this technique will include partial first pulls from the floor to just above the knee, ensuring that the athlete has their hips and shoulders rise at the same rate. This will initiate a posterior knee drive relative to that athlete's anterometrics. Okay, now I'm just going to recap some points that I've already made in the video and kind of sum everything up. I believe that the posterior knee drive is relative to the athlete's anterometrics, so their leg length and their torso length. I believe a very important factor when performing this movement is that the hips and the torso evenly rise. And also at the start position that the hips are slightly higher than the knees. It's not necessarily vitally important how the athlete gets the bars to their knees because there's such variation, but what's important is that they're in a position that they can efficiently drive the bar upwards once they initiate their second pull. Mulcahy, because the bar is hanging out further in front of him, he's going to have to use much more of a rowing action, utilizing bicep strength and upper body strength to bring that bar into his body, where the Korean lifter, the bar is already quite close to her body, so she's going to have more of a brushing effect as opposed to kind of a banging effect that you notice when Mulcahy performs his lift. I don't believe any of the techniques is better than the other. They're all dependent on the athlete's anterometrics and their strength qualities that they possess.